And we're live. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. Hi, Katie. Great to see
Hello.
you. Hello, hello, hello. We are with the Women of the World Network, of course, and Katie is one of our newest amazing members. Love her energy. Congratulations, newly mom.
Thank you. Yep.
So I'm excited about this conversation. I think it will be great. And welcome, Katie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay, thank you for being here. So before we jump into the conversation, I wanna introduce Katie first. So Katie is an international wellness, mindfulness, and essential oil educator. I love that. She teaches classes in both English and Spanish to spread awareness, educating on the importance of creating a chemical-free home and the life of physical and emotional empowerment. Love it. Her background as a Spanish medical interpreter and her own lifelong struggles with asthma inspired her to advocate for her own health, which led to her business. She empowers others through her extensive knowledge of the power of preventative care and essential oil use. Katie is a speaker, teacher, and advocate who works side by side individuals and businesses that strive for more wellness and mindfulness in life. Awesome. Welcome. Great to
Thank
have you.
you.
Katie.
Thanks. I'm so excited for this conversation. I love
Yeah,
just
I
getting in
love.
touch with people and sharing what we do. It's so much fun.
Yes, me too. I'm so excited. And before we jump, I already have questions, so many questions, like just after, reading this. Um, the first question I usually ask though is what makes you authentic? What makes you unique? If you could share that before we jump
So
into
I
everything.
love the word unique because it's something that all of a sudden, when you start to reflect on it, you go, okay, well, I just do what everybody would do. But it's so neat to learn what people do and why they do it. And one of the things that I know that from a very early age I started to show was my attitude and perspective being always looking for the silver lining in things. So, pretty much in anything that I do, in any job that I've held, in any situation, I always manage to find what's good or what we could learn from that situation. And so, that bio that you read of mine, that's kind of where I've come thanks to all the little things that I've done. And from living here in the suburbs of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, I've lived in Madrid, Spain for an extensive period of time. And so I have a lot of good perspective from different cultures and different walks of life and a bunch of different jobs that I've held. So I think that it's always just looking for that joy and that positivity, which is what makes life great.
Yeah, I love that. And you definitely have that coming from you when you say it.
Yeah,
And so it's so great that you said it, but it's almost like I feel it all every time I talk to you. And so when you
thank
actually
you.
said it, it's such a confirmation, and that's so true. That's so true. I love that. I love that about you. That attitude, it just shifts things.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, we start here and then everything shifts. It's so beautiful. So your personal experience, I want to talk about that. Well, first of all, I love your focus on preventative.
Hmm.
um, Everything preventative, and of course home. And sometimes I think we think about, when we think preventative, maybe food we take, but I think we think about things we eat
Yes.
or drink. Sometimes we might forget that it applies to everything surrounding us, including our home.
Yeah.
And things not maybe consume, but we have in our house. um, and I had that done in my house a couple of years ago too, just getting rid of all the chemicals and replacing. But tell us, and from your bio also, you had a personal reason, personal journey. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what's interesting is the fact that my business was built from my personal experience. It's through the things that I learned once I started to learn to actually advocate for my own health,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just accepting what medical professionals were telling me had to be done in order to be well. That was basically being on lifelong medication to keep me that way. And so it's just interesting because I feel like there's no wrong journey so long as you're always advocating for a better situation. You know, you can be compliant with, okay, we're just gonna, or complacent rather, you could just be like, okay, I'm happy where I am and accept it, or you can strive for more. And it's so amazing once you start to dig what you can actually find. And so with my story in short, I've had asthma my whole life, diagnosed when I was around 6 years old. And it wasn't until I lived in Spain, so it's Mediterranean lifestyle, things were different all around. I
Uh-huh.
was living in Madrid for about 7 years.
So
And
that's
through
where you found it, living in, oh, wow.
that was where I had the motivation. So it was actually when I moved back here to the United States that I noticed a drastic difference in my health. So there
Oh,
were a bunch of different factors, right? In Spain, I had the luxury of biking to work every day. I might walk more. You pass by a fresh fruit stand. You're encouraged a lot, especially in a city, to have that nice, healthy lifestyle. But along with it, what I didn't realize is, like you said, all the different chemicals and personal care products and supplements and all these things that you use on a daily basis, a little bit at a time. I didn't realize a lot of them were triggers for my asthma, things that could be removed from my
mhm.
life, and then all of a sudden not need those certain inhalers that were quote unquote
Wow.
preventative, or a rescue inhaler, which a lot of times I was reaching for. So it wasn't that my asthma disappeared in Spain. It was
Yeah.
more that it was just lessened, and I didn't recognize that it had lessened until I got back here and it flared up again. I thought, wait, I haven't been on, certain things in a long time. And then I really dug into, well, why is this happening? Because
Mhm.
obviously I grew up here, the trees are the same trees that were here when I was living there 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was when I started asking more questions and recognizing that the mainstream cleaning products, even the ones that have this,
Mhm.
we call it greenwashing, the label says all the correct things, right? It says
Yeah,
clean, free and clear, natural, pure. All of these
right.
words are just marketing for us to believe that it's better than the other one sitting next to it. But I
Mhm.
always invite people to turn that over, look at the ingredients list, just like we would for food, right? You
Mhm.
want the least amount of ingredients lists that you want on your food. Same thing for foaming hand soap, shampoos, makeup, um, looking at candles and air fresheners and things. I always loved my Yankee candles. They were very nice and it's the ambiance of your house. And I've shifted everything over to a diffuser that I can use essential oils with. And not only is that providing potentially support for my respiratory system or
Mhm.
for my mood or for a slew of other things that we can kind of make a little blend in there. But I can change that up daily. It's not the same candle I'm burning with the same scent. I'm actually changing it according to what I need that day.
Mhm.
And this is actually on the candle flicker function, but it also
Ah,
has all different colors and things. And there's so many different styles. It's so much fun once you really dig into it. And what I found is once I started switching over my cleaning products,
Mhm.
this is called Thieves Cleaner, something that is derived from essential oils and other natural occurring items. It was day and night. So I used to have an asthma attack or an episode every time I cleaned the bathroom. And luckily, I've been not using those things for the past, I would say, almost 4 years since I made the
Mhm.
switch. And all it took was 1 week cold turkey of just let me see what I can do without all of this stuff. I was looking at every single thing and not using anything that had the word fragrance in the ingredients list.
Mm.
Fragrance is actually a cluster ingredient,
Mhm.
and it's something that companies are allowed to put a lot of different items into that one word because it's proprietary and protected by the FDA, that they don't have to divulge what's in
It
that
was actually,
ingredient.
yeah, just
So
one word.
that's, we don't
Wow.
recognize. And by doing that, it was night and day for me, which is now what I preach and teach other people, not just with asthma, but with a bunch of different conditions and
Yeah,
things that they want support in.
yeah. That is so awesome, and I'm so glad that you found that for yourself and you completely treated, completely.
Yeah, it's one of those things that each person is different, so we react differently. But it really worked for me, and I'm very blessed in that I haven't needed an inhaler in 4 years.
Oh, that's so
because I
great.
now have certain protocols that I do that if I start to feel, I still feel, I am an asthmatic, I still have it. So there are triggers. If I'm at a friend's house and they have a candle burning, it hits me hard.
Oh,
And it's that I have my oils with me. I always have my little bottles
uh-huh.
ready for that respiratory support or just removing myself from the situation.
Mhm.
But little by little, it was a learning curve of what I needed to do in order to get to this point. And so I help people kind of walk that journey wherever they are starting out it with no
Yeah,
judgment because I was there and you don't know
right,
what you don't know.
right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. And I'm so
Mm-hmm.
happy for you. That's
Yes,
awesome
thank
that
you.
you don't
Mm-hmm.
need the inhaler. That's great.
Oh,
That's
yes.
such a victory. And I love how it's you're not needing the medication. It's not medication and that's what I love. I'm so big on also preventative and natural, finding alternative ways, right?
Yes.
To treatment
Mm-hmm.
and avoiding all the chemical pills. And so I love that you actually treated it not with chemical pills and all, but the the oils. Yeah, so I love talking about the holistic health also, but it's all connected. So I love that story. Thank you for sharing. So my next question is, say people want to do that transition, right? But they don't know where to start from. So they have, do they start in the house? Do they start with food? And I use a diffuser myself as well. Since I
Mm-hmm.
started, I actually didn't use candles that much. My daughters all loves candles, using candles. So I don't know. And I never noticed a difference. But if they wanted to have that transition, where do you recommend starting? Like what to do?
Yeah, that's a great question because it can be a little overwhelming because there's so many things that once you recognize, okay, wait, I'm looking at everything in my house and everything has fragrance. In my case,
Right.
I was blessed at that time to be able to say, hey, I'm stopping all use of anything with fragrance. Now, granted,
Mhm.
that went in every room of my house.
Yeah.
So obviously it wasn't from one day to the next. It was a slower transition. But
Mhm.
one of the things that I always recommend, especially with the home, is with the household cleaner. It's
Mhm.
called Thieves Household Cleaner, and it's something that with just a little cap full of this
Mhm.
concentrated cleaner, you add it to a spray bottle with water, and you can clean your entire house with it. It is marketing that tells us that we need a separate cleaner for our windows, for our floors, for our tables, for our all of the things in our house. The goal is to get it clean. It doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily need something completely different to clean every surface.
Mhm. That's good.
So I go through a lot with even just the home that you make your very first bottle of the cleaner and it'll take you far. So that's
Mhm.
an easy one right from the start that you can just get a ton of chemicals out of your house by just making that switch. And some people decide, hey, well, I want to use what I have until it's gone and then I'll switch, which is perfectly fine because
Yeah.
all of these things that we're exposed to with these chemicals that we're talking about, it happens over time. It's this small accumulation on our body that does tax the different systems of our bodies. And so with every little switch, even if you just said, okay, I'm going to switch over my countertop cleaner with this Thieves, that's
Mhm.
one less thing that you're going to have be something that you're exposed to.
Yeah.
But then other people say, oh, you know what? I ran out of shampoo. Oh, well, now's the time to try a natural shampoo. And so, one thing that I love doing is coming up with a wellness plan individually for people.
Mhm.
Sometimes we do a group call because we learn so much more when we hear the questions of other people. So if I can line people's schedules up and do a small group call, it's a nice brainstorming kind of thing. But I have like a Calendly link that people can ask for, little free chat where we just go over the game plan and I just listen and try to think of where I would start and we just figure out what makes sense for you because while my story is obviously respiratory health and I supported my system with oil, I use peppermint oil specifically,
Mhm.
and at the same time I was also helping my body detox from all the chemicals by getting rid of. So it's kind of that balance of those two things of the support of one and the ditching and switching to more natural products at the same time. So if someone really loves makeup, well, we start with makeup, or someone
Yeah.
who really wants to focus on their hormone health or their sleep at night or stress reduction. There's all these things that everybody's going to go, yep, I want that. I want that. I want that. It's like, okay, we can take a breath. We can kind of figure out where to start. And honestly, when I started, it was my chiropractor and my mother who started teaching me about these things because they had just learned it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh yeah, you need peppermint for your respiratory health, but also this. So I go, well, no, I'll just take my peppermint for now. And that's completely an option. Where at the same time, what I ended up doing was getting a bundle that was kind of created, and I can create bundles for people specifically based on their goals.
Mm-hmm.
But I started with kind of an array of oils that gave support to a bunch of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to blend certain things, make little rollers, apply it topically, put it in the diffuser. All of these things then were tools in my wellness toolbox that I could grab for at any moment. And you
Mm-hmm.
almost don't know what you need until you have them and you start to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of the education behind it so that it's not just a
Okay.
pretty set of oil sitting there, but you have access to me for life of, well, wait, what's a recipe for this? Or what would I use in this situation? And I have an online community that I plug everyone into because it's very interesting to learn from others.
So great. That's so great. And I feel your passion when you speak about it. And,
Yeah.
I love connecting individual stories to, and passions to what you're doing today. Because I think there's so many lessons we can learn from that. Yeah. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And I love the custom plan for each individual.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, and the other
Uh,
thing I always mention too is I don't know everything, and I never will pretend to know everything. If
mhm.
someone ever has a question, a condition, some kind of query that I don't know the answer to, I will find one, or I'll
Mhm.
find somebody with a testimonial that was their case, and I'll connect you with them. And so
Yeah.
it's a nice thing to do in community because it's very supportive that sometimes I'll even read something and go, whoa, I didn't know I could use that oil for that purpose, and now I know. And so that's how we just keep growing our knowledge in anything, let alone in this world.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's beautiful. So as we are getting close to, hi, good morning, everyone. Getting close to concluding this awesome conversation. We will share links, by the way, for Katie. Please connect with her, ladies. Find out more details about what she does. I know she has a lot of variety of different amazing products that we can, slowly start using and apply. But do you have the referral partners that you wanted to share with us? So somebody, we listen to this video in our community and then we repost it so
Mm-hmm.
that ladies know who they can connect you with.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I love doing is recognizing that everybody's at their own stage in everything. So whether it's your personal life at home, whether it's your business, whether it's you helping your clients in different ways, there are so many overlapping things that I have been really honored to be a part of these transformations in people. Whether it's in your unique belief of being able to put your business out into the world and to get the clients that you're looking for, that confidence, whether it's to get rest at night and recognize that you need to have more mindful moments during your day so that you don't overwork yourself. Because as a fellow entrepreneur, I feel you.
Yeah.
So what's been very nice is that there have been so many people that have reached out to me, excuse me, in order to figure out how to utilize Young Living in with the business that they're already working with, because they recognize the support that kind of overlaps. And I don't believe in competition. I only believe in the fact that I've got an awesome message that can help people. And
Yeah.
I don't know who you know. And so it's a great thing because I also do mentoring in incorporating certain things about Young Living and the business opportunity in with your existing business. So I've worked with people who do yoga classes in studios as well as online, Reiki masters, people who do EFT tapping, nurses and doctors,
Mhm.
lawyers. Like it's so interesting the different professions that, depending on what they tend to have as a tendency or maybe a bad habit or an emotion that feels blocked. Oils
Mhm.
can help with that. It helps release a lot of emotions that are unwanted, because actually it's through the sense of smell that
Mhm.
we tap into the part of our brain that houses your memories and your emotions. And so
Mhm.
that's kind of how you gain that healing and can overcome certain situations that could be too um, frustrating or overwhelming. So
Yeah.
I love connecting and working with people that resonate with that message.
Mhm.
And even coaches that are working with clients, it's amazing to go with their theories and their tangible ways that they can get better. And then you add in a layer of oils to that, your affirmations, your mantras. It's a very powerful thing. And I just love working with people that get it. And
Yeah.
then we can kind of help walk side by side on that journey.
Okay, great. I love that. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you mentioned a few. That's great. That's awesome. And I know we have those few in our community as well. Yeah, so thank you so much, Katie. This was awesome. And it's always great to get to know you better and, get to
Yeah.
know your story better, more in depth. So thank you for taking the time. I know you're
Thanks for
such
having me.
a
And one other thing that I wanted to mention really
yeah,
quickly is
yeah,
the fact that Young Living is a global company. So
uh-huh,
they've been around for 28 years, and little by little, they're always opening up new markets in other countries. And I've actually been really lucky to be able to be in this virtual space. And that's why I love the Women of the World Network, because we're kind of all over.
yeah,
And so I've actually have gotten in contact with people in Canada, in Mexico, India,
love
Europe,
it.
all different places. And so people here too will also reach out, please reach out. If anything that I've said or anything that seems something of support for another person that you know, even if they're not in this community, it's very powerful to see the connection, the little things of, even if you're not thinking for yourself, if you think of another person, it's a really interesting thing to connect despite distances or despite the fact that I'm not physically there, but we try to make it as personable as possible.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I love that. That's awesome. Thank you again, Ladies
Thank
Connect.
you.
She's amazing. Thank you for taking the time. Everyone, thanks for being with us. Have an amazing weekend. Never, never, ever forget that you're amazing, well, woman. And I wish you all the best. Lots of love. I'll talk to you soon, Katie. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Elle.